Hello, and welcome to the Creative Differences Podcast, your one-stop shop for movie reviews, Fancast Fridays, and Throwback Thursdays, which is what we're doing today. We also give y'all some other types of episodes, but not often enough for me to list them. I'm Dallas, and I probably like 2016 Suicide Squad more than anyone you know, including the guy that made it.
I'm Gabby, and holy moly, was this a poor man's attempt at Guardians of the Galaxy?
Interesting take.
I'm Colin, and it's weird because yes, it is, but it feels like it wasn't supposed to be, at least from what David Ayer said. Like recently, he was like, "Oh, well, it was supposed to have like there weren't any radio songs. It was all of the score." And I'm like, "That's a completely different vibe. Like, what happened?"
Guardians of the Galaxy happened.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Anyway, Demi got possessed by a belly dancing witch, so she's not here.
Let's hope this goes well.
Yes.
We've never done this without her.
Right?
Before we get into this Academy Award-winning movie, please like and subscribe, or you too will be possessed by a witch.
Oh God, it is, isn't it?
What did it win for?
Award. I think
Makeup and hair.
costume. Yeah, makeup and hair.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, like it won the category that it should win. Like there was great makeup and hair ish.
I mean, there was.
That's
That Joker look was something.
I'm thinking more like King Shark, right?
King Shark's not
Killer
in it, but
Croc?
Killer
Oh,
Croc,
wait.
Harley, they did some
That's
good
what I
things.
meant. Killer Croc. That's what I meant.
Cool.
Let's move on.
All right, Colin, you ain't got no memory, but do you remember your first time watching this?
I know I saw it in the theater. We probably went on opening night. Would be my guess, because we worked in a movie theater at the time, and it was easy to do.
We sure did.
Y'all are gonna lament that forever, huh?
Yeah, bro.
Lament
Movies
what? Working at
cost
a movie
money.
theater?
Yeah,
Or lament the fact that we no longer get free movies?
Yes,
all of it.
not
I mean-
necessarily.
Yeah,
more the free movies than anything.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed most of my time working there. I'm just very upset that now I pay for movies. It's not a good look.
Yep.
Still not used to that. I hate it. Gabby, do you
Yeah.
remember your first time watching this?
I think so. I went with you guys.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you know what they
We
said.
went
We all
as a
watched it
group.
together.
'Cause
And
we're
then
corny like that.
But yes, I saw it and I loved it, and I saw it a few more times because I like this movie more than everyone, as I said,
Yeah, I think
Including-
I saw it,
the guy who made it. Speaking of the guy who made it, his name is David Ayer, and he wrote The Fast and the Furious and Training Day. And he also
the
directed
first one though, right?
Yes,
first
The
one,
Fast and the Furious, not
Yeah.
Fast and Furious. Not to be confused with one of the other car movies. He also directed and wrote End of Watch because he really likes LA and violence.
And cops apparently.
I don't know if he would like cops because this whole thing about Training Day was like, oh, look how bad these cops are.
But isn't End of Watch like a glorification of them?
I haven't actually seen it. It looks like
Okay.
it might be, but I remember him saying that he wrote Training Day to show people how corrupt cops in LA are.
It's funny because I'm pretty
Fair.
sure that the person who would know the most about End of Watch is Demi, because I think she has seen it and likes it. But rip.
It looked like a movie that I would like. Anyway, this movie stars Will Smith, Margot Robbie, Viola Davis, Joel Kinnaman, and a bunch of other people. Just like 40 characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Don't forget Diablo.
I will never forget Diablo.
Is that Jay Hernandez?
Yep.
Thank you, Colin.
He was the greatest performance in this movie.
And
Just
what's
kidding.
her name?
He wasn't.
Cara Delevingne.
Yeah.
Oh, just
Those are the only ones I can think of.
We're
But
just
yeah.
gonna
We're gonna
name
list
them all.
everybody, Colin? Is that what we're doing?
I don't know. I just feel like, they had
It was the squad.
Karen
relatively
Fukuhara's
major
in it.
roles.
Adam Beach is in it. Jai Courtney's in it.
Scott Eastwood's in it.
David Harbour's in it.
He
I wanna
Ben
talk
is.
about
Affleck
that
is
later.
technically in it.
Who's technically in it?
Ben Affleck.
That's true.
He is. I forgot about that.
Yes. Anyway, the summary states a secret government agency recruits some of the most dangerous incarcerated supervillains to form a defensive task force. Their first mission: save the world from apocalypse.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Yes, David Harbour is in this movie. It's interesting because this movie came out the year that Stranger Things came out.
Really?
But David Harbour wasn't super popping like that before Stranger Things came out.
It's true.
So he has, I think, 2 lines in this movie.
Mhm.
And he plays, his character has a name. I think it's Tolliver because that's a character in the comics. But he's basically just Viola Davis's hype man, which is ironic because he's not very hype at all. He's just like, what if Superman kidnapped the president? Who would have stopped him? That was David Harbour.
I remember.
White dude in a suit. All right, so
That's the kind of roles he used to play, though. Was
White
just
dude in a
like,
suit?
yeah, like
he was
even
in a
he
lot of
said
movies.
that. Yeah, even he said that. He's like, I used to just play generic You needed a generic guy. It was me. Like, he makes a lot of those jokes. And I think he's talked about how grateful he is that he doesn't necessarily have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Shout out to David. We support you here, sir. And now he's famous and he's playing a Russian in the MCU, but that's not what we're talking about. So this movie, I love it a whole lot. The story, I feel like there are things about it that I would change.
Okay.
I would not make Enchantress the villain for this movie.
Same.
Because the team feels like they'd work better in a more grounded movie.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they're in a more grounded movie. And then we get back to Enchantress. And it's like, oh, yeah, she's making weird bubble wrap zombies and trying to save her demon brother. And it's a whole thing that's going on. And the whole time I'm just wondering, how is the clown woman with a bat prepared to handle the situation?
Exactly.
Like, you don't have the team. You don't have the team for this. This isn't like, why is she the villain?
Like, it should have been like Superman or something.
Well, see, the thing is, like, I understand that the point of, like, say Slipknot, right, is that he dies, so you don't have to talk about it much.
Yes.
But his description is the man who can climb anything. How is that going to be useful if you're in a room full of zombies?
I feel so bad for Adam Beach because Slipknot.
Yep.
He doesn't even get.
He doesn't.
A nice little intro video.
No.
He's on the PowerPoint when Viola is presenting her team, but they don't say. Yeah, his picture's there. They don't say anything about him. All he gets.
You know why? Because they were going to kill him immediately.
They were ready. All he gets is, oh, here's Slipknot, the man who can climb anything. Like, yo, what? And then he punches a woman, and then he dies.
Yeah, which is bullshit. Like, how you guys do that to the only Native American character in this whole movie?
Like, he can climb anything. You needed him on the team.
Did you need the clown woman with a bat? Like,
yes, she does a lot in this movie.
Yeah,
did you need the guy with the boomerang who doesn't want to be there?
I mean, boomerangs are useful. He uses it for surveillance.
No,
it's a long-range weapon.
Absolutely
also,
not.
all of these people you guys are naming do things. Slipknot doesn't do anything.
You know why? Because he wasn't given the chance, Dallas. But we can move on.
He was just gonna climb a building. Like,
that's what he does. That's his brand.
Harley uses an elevator in this movie. She basically that circumvents the need for Slipknot. She gets up there.
Terrible.
She didn't have to climb nothing.
Okay, you're kind of right.
Let's move on.
Thank you.
Modern technology has destroyed him.
Yes. Colin, what do you think of the story?
I feel like the problem. Okay, there are a few problems with this story. One is, and this is mostly a DC thing, but we should stop making big team movies if we don't know the team members first, because then you spend almost half the movie just introducing the team and setting everything up. And it's not that that's not entertaining, because the way that they did it was entertaining, but it's like when I got 40 minutes in and realized nothing had actually really happened, I was like, oh God. I think making Enchantress the villain could work if she did something. But when she's just doing the Macarena and levitating some trash, I'm not sure. She's memorable, but not in a good way.
I feel you.
And see, I feel like this movie was how do I put this? Like, I ended up just comparing it to Guardians of the Galaxy. And while I did really like it when it first came out, this time around, I'm just like, I could just compare it to Guardians and you can kind of cross-reference all the places where it was kind of flawed. Just like comparing it to Guardians, because we were also completely unfamiliar with the team in Guardians. But James Gunn somehow introduced all these characters and kept the plot moving at the same time. Like, you're 5 minutes into the movie, you've already been introduced to your main character, which you didn't know before. Or like 10 minutes into the movie, more like. You've already been introduced to a main character you didn't know before, and you've already been introduced to the central conflict, and they've added a few characters by then. 40 minutes into the movie, they're a full-fledged team.
Yeah.
Just that's the one bummer of this movie, is it came out right near like a year or two after Guardians, and by then it's just like, well, we already seen like the prime way of introducing a team like this with like pop, with like sort of a jukebox musical kind of a way, and it worked perfectly that other time. So what are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's interesting to like comparing movies to each other, because for some reason the way my mind works is I'm very often thinking about where I've seen things before. Certain movies I watch and, oh, that looks just like that. That when Wonder Woman came out, it just felt like such a hodgepodge of different movies but I enjoyed it. So stuff like that doesn't really take away from me unless it just feels very, very derivative and not as entertaining. I was going to give an example, but then I'm just kind of insulting a movie for no reason, so I won't.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's not the example.
This is an interesting one for me because you can compare it to Guardians, but I also wonder, and from what David Ayer said, I think we kind of know the answer to that, if this movie was ever supposed to be that in the first place, or if the studio got a hold of it and then made it that clumsily. It's entirely possible that this wasn't supposed to be that sort of jukebox musical thing, and the studio was like, well, Guardians did it, so now we have to.
And see, the thing is, that's the part of the movie that was the strongest to me. Like the beginning intros with like the more pop music-y bits, because that kind of
Yeah, same.
stops once they go into the actual action, right? Now
Mhm.
that's when the score starts. But before that, I
Yeah.
feel like that's the strongest part of the movie. I just feel like they didn't clinch the ending, right? And they weren't really moving plot forward at that point in time. And the reason was is because the Enchantress was going to get away from everyone. She was the plot, right? But that's the part of the movie that stood out the most. But then, like, the difference is like Guardians did all that and like was more of a closer. I feel like,
Mm,
and
Mhm.
this was less. But the part of it that's strongest is the beginning to me, where they're introducing characters.
I agree. That is the part where I was having the most fun. And it's interesting because, yeah, David Ayer says what he says. And I read that very, very long.
Oh, you read the whole thing?
I did.
Oh, bold.
And, you know, I feel for the guy. It sounds like he had a terrible life. But I was just reading the description of his movie. I was just thinking, I don't think I'd like his version more because the way he described it, he's, oh, there's no radio songs. And I was just thinking, yo, this soundtrack slaps. Like, you take all of those songs out and you take out presumably the beginning because that's mostly songs. And you just have a very dark, you know, grim, dark DC movie, which could be good, but the dark parts of this movie aren't why I enjoy it. But, you know, I don't know if we're ever going to see his version. I would watch it just to see what it's like. But let's talk about the characters.
Okay.
One thing I will give this movie, in addition to the other things I give it because I love it, is that for the most part, they cast these characters perfectly. Viola Davis is literally Amanda Waller. Margot is a perfect Harley. Will as a cooler version of Deadshot because, you know, he's black. That makes him inherently cooler. And he's Will Smith.
Is Deadshot usually not black?
No, he's usually a white man.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, this is just an upgrade.
Right? Because Deadshot is a cool character, let me say that. But there's just something about him. He doesn't have that, you know, blackness.
Hmm.
Like Deadshot's not going to say, oh, you one of them deaf hoes. That's not going to be a line we get from a white Deadshot. Or the scene where he's talking to Flag about, I need you to get my daughter into an Ivy League school, and if her grades can't cut it, I need you to white people that thing. That's one of my favorite scenes, and we don't get that the way it works
That's a
without
great
Will as Deadshot.
Yep, that's a great line.
But yeah, they cast very well. But yes, Deadshot's amazing. Will Smith is one of my favorite people, as you all know. That whole target practice scene is fantastic to me. The way that he gets such joy when he finds out that gun works.
Mm-hmm.
The look on his face, the initial, oh my God, what? To, oh, you guys are insane. You gave me, I'm a serial killer. You gave me loaded guns. But he's just, okay, let me do what I love to do. And he does it, and he does it so well. And Kanye is playing, I think the song is Black Skinhead, which is a great song for that kind of moment. It's such a great scene. I love it. Shout out to Ike Barinholtz. He's really funny. His
Oh, I love
character,
Ike.
yeah, his character's a complete scumbag, but he plays it very well. Some of his jokes don't land for me. In general, some of the jokes in this movie don't land. It's kind of hit and miss, but his delivery is always great. Like the first thing Will does is point a gun at his head, and it's just, oh my God. It's like, you know what this man can do? So Ike Barinholtz is great.
Yeah. Also, I'm not used to him playing an asshole. I'm used to him playing a lovable idiot. So that
Yeah.
was weird.
So he's
but
just an unlovable idiot in this one.
yeah. And I didn't like it. But it was a good performance.
Yes, I'm glad it's him because if it was another actor that I didn't recognize or someone else, I feel like the endearment I have for Ike is kind of what makes me tolerate that character more. And, you know, he's just good at being an idiot.
See.
But yeah, all of those, I guess, like second introductory scenes, like when we see Harley, the way that they use a lot of flashbacks for Harley, but the way that they color the flashbacks and use the music and stuff, but I'll get back to that when we get into visuals and sound. Yeah, I generally liked all of the characters. It was just a matter of how they used some of them.
Yeah.
Enchantress, I don't think should have been used in at all in this movie. She should be in a Justice League Dark movie, but we never got that, which is a very missed opportunity because I think Del Toro was going to do it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And that would have slapped. And she should be the villain for that because in the comics, she is the villain for Justice League Dark. But
which I think fits her power level more accurately.
That's the thing. She's a magic witch. Like, you need a team who does magic.
Although the only person that could stand up to her is Diablo. And he was like, yeah, I'm not using my powers no more.
Yeah,
sorry, just kidding. Bye.
Yeah. I would have loved to see Tom Hardy as Rick Flag like he was supposed to be. But I do think Joel Kinnaman did a good job. He brought that reluctant, browbeaten man energy. He's just so sick of everything. I really like Jai Courtney. I know he doesn't have the best rep as far as actors go, which I haven't seen a lot of his stuff. I've never disliked him, but he was really fun in this movie. So shout out to Australians.
I think people thought like he was being forced down their throats or something, but I'm like, no, he was just being cast, guys.
Anyway, so he's getting jobs.
He's just working, you guys.
They're like, why are they trying to make us like Jai Courtney? It's like they're giving
it's
him
like,
work.
No, he just got the job,
like,
you guys.
You can choose
like
not
he walked
to engage
in,
with it.
Yeah, he walked in and he was the best man for it, apparently, and that's why he's working.
But yeah, I've talked enough. What are you saying, Gabby?
Oh, I feel like Captain Boomerang's perfect for him though, and I'm glad he's returning he's returning for the Suicide Squad, right?
Yes.
Also, I love that like they kept. Why am I blanking on their name? Clown lady.
Harley Quinn.
Harley?
Yeah, they kept Margot Robbie for Harley Quinn.
Love
Clown lady.
I'm just glad that they kept the people that they kept. I'm blanking on names right now, so I'm just not gonna even try. My biggest sadness though is that Will Smith's not returning. I mean, we're gonna talk about that later. But
that upsets me.
He and Margot Robbie were like the best parts of this movie, I feel like. Also Diablo.
Colin, do you have any character thoughts?
So the thing about this movie, there are a lot of things about this movie. Will Smith is a treasure, right? He's great.
Agreed.
Everything goes. Delightful. Love him. Everyone else in this movie just felt so like they're trying hard or something. I don't know. Like, I don't like Margot Robbie's. I don't think that's fair. It's not Margot Robbie I have a problem with. It's Harley in that I felt like she had no depth.
Interesting.
She's just like, oh, I'm Harley, I'm wacky. And it's like, you have a backstory that I wish, and I don't know if that's this movie or just her in general, because I haven't dived, I guess, into her much, but it's like she has that whole background as like a psychiatrist. I'd like to see like more of that come in as opposed to like, look, I'm just zany and I can do zany shit. So I don't know if that's a knock on this movie or just in general.
I think it might be a little bit one of the flaws of this movie because they kind of focused a little bit on Margot Robbie's hotness. Like, I mean, like even just looking at the costume. And you got to see a little bit more of her depth, or at least a little bit more of Harley's like craftiness in her other movie, which was Birds of Prey. And you know the difference there is that like it was directed by a woman and like produced by Margot Robbie.
Focused on her,
yeah,
as opposed to focused on a ton of people.
Yeah,
that's just easier to do.
Exactly.
But like, yeah, I don't know. Just everything Will Smith does, I'm like, this is great. Everything everyone else does, I'm like, this is fine.
Well, I'm gonna put on my Suicide Squad cape and say, well, from what I can tell, the extended version you do get more of Harley's depth, but even in this version, that has what?
The whole "I'm not someone who's loved, I'm an idea" thing.
Yeah, whatever line he says in that weird scene is in there.
Cool.
But just even in this movie, I feel like if you're, I don't want to say paying attention, but if you're, I guess, I don't know, observing everything, there are definitely moments where we get her depth. Like when she asked Deadshot, have you ever been in love? And he talks about how I like to kill people. I don't love people. And she calls him a textbook sociopath. The flashbacks where she's dealing with Joker are...
You know, I think that's what it is. I want to see more of Harley disconnected from the Joker. And I understand that their stories are very wrapped up in each other, and that's a lot of what you're going to see. Which probably just means I should read the comics, because in the recent years, she's really done a lot of that separation. I think that's part of the reason I like Birds of Prey as much as I do, is because Joker's not in it, and you kind of see who she is without him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is funny, because I feel like Birds of Prey more gives us the zany. It has a different tone. So it's more, I like to kill people, and I'm zany and animating, or whatever the animating acts say. But in this one, we get moments like her diagnosing people. Also, there's a scene that didn't make the theatrical cut where they're walking down the street. She's diagnosing everybody, and kind of using their diagnoses against them because she's projecting her anger onto them. So we get stuff like that. And then the moment after Joker, quote unquote, dies and she's sitting in the rain, obviously dejected. But when the team shows up, she puts on a brave face and says, "Hi, guys, I'm back." So I think her character has a lot of depth, but it's constrained to how much time we have to spend with each character.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I think her and Deadshot get most of the depth, and everybody else just kind of. Diablo obviously gets some because he has that horrifying backstory.
Oh yeah, it's super sad.
Yeah. But then also, yeah, we don't need depth for everyone. Like, I don't need to know why Slipknot can climb anything. I don't need to know why Digger likes boomerangs. He's Australian. Of course he likes
the
boomerangs.
thing is, I don't know that that's true. Because not depth in terms of why can they do what they do, but who are they? Like,
Were you wondering what Slipknot, like, what his life was
well,
like?
in theory, I'm not this time, because I knew he was going to die.
Yeah.
But it's like, in theory, you're introducing a team of people who, at least most of them, I don't fucking know, are going to keep going in theory in other movies and stuff. And if you're reading a comic series, they're going to be in that for a while. And so I feel like I should know who they are as people, and this movie doesn't do that for a while.
That's why I feel like sometimes you're inherently losing something when you adapt a source material like a comic book into a movie. Because in comics, I'm not going to say most of these people, but a lot of these people have had their own runs. They've had issues about them. They've been the main.
They just have more time.
Yeah, or even a TV show, you can get episodes about each person. But in a movie, we're not getting a Captain Boomerang movie because no one's asking for that.
Well, someone is, right? But not.
I mean,
not
maybe
the
Jack Courtney. I
majority.
don't know. I feel like in terms of the only character I felt like I need more and we're not getting it is Katana.
Oh,
because Katana comes in, she doesn't get the fun little introduction. She has a clearly horrifying backstory that they tell us. She's a lot more somber and she doesn't really fit the fun vibe of the team. She's not really part of the team.
Yeah.
She's crying, talking to her husband's soul in a freaking sword, and we just kind of gloss over that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Katana needs some backstory. Maybe give her something.
And then they didn't put her in. That's fine.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Killer Croc. So Killer Croc is interesting to me because he's entertaining, but then when you realize, oh, he's just a nigga.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that.
It's a little less fun because he has 8 lines, and one of them is just BET.
What?
Yeah. So that's not great. But there are things you could have done with Killer Croc to give him some kind of anything. It's just, oh, look, he's a big dude who eats people. And if you leave it there, cool, he's a big dude who eats people. But also, he's a big dude who eats people and says, bruh, and wants BET as his only demand from Amanda Waller. So, yeah, I enjoyed the character, but you got to give me more or give me less. Like, don't give me the nigga stuff. If you're not going to give me more to go with it, that makes him an actual character. Because he had some really cool scenes. His intro scene is great when Flag meets him down in the sewer and he's walking up and his eyes are kind of glowing in the dark. That was great.
That was cool.
And he says, why'd they put you down here? I asked. There's a whole thing that you could do with this character. And it culminated in BET.
I feel like you don't have much respect for BET.
You know, here's the thing about that. I grew up a young black man watching BET. You know, the game,
like
other thing, music videos, BET Uncut when it was late enough. But BET's not great. Okay, fair. I don't watch it now, but BET has not been great in the past. And it's one thing if I'm talking about BET as someone who grew up with it. It's another thing when the white writer and director is just using it as the one line to give this black character.
Okay.
That's totally fair.
Like, they're like, oh, what would he want? He would love BET. That's great. Like, okay. Chill, relax, David. But yeah, not great. Okay, so before we move away from the characters, we have to talk about the Joker.
Do we?
I mean, we kind of have to.
Oh, God, it was... So I hated it. Okay,
you guys don't like him.
I fucking hate it.
No, okay, but that's not...
but the thing is, how do I put this? It's not the Joker, how it was written. It's Jared Leto's behavior that I fucking hated.
Interesting.
Like he was acting a whole ass fool. And for what? For this?
Right, but if you didn't, you kind of can't, like, I don't know. I mean, you don't have to separate that from the movie, but it feels like you should if you're evaluating the movie. Are you talking about, like, outside of like that he was just an asshole on set. Like, okay,
fine.
but
If we're not going off that, then I don't really. How do I put this? Again, I feel like it's a poor man's version of something else, right? I feel like it's a poor man's version of Heath Ledger. It's a similar, like, it's a similar kind of accent, or like evocation, and then also I feel like all they did was just add tattoos and to make it quote unquote different.
Interesting.
But I don't really like. I feel like it's not the most creative Joker. I feel like it was an amalgamation of things that they thought would be cool. Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, I feel like Heath Ledger was like a new take. I feel like Jack Nicholson was a new take. Mark Hamill's version is like really interesting too. But
yeah, he's the Joker.
Yeah. But this version felt like y'all took a little bit of each of one and was like, here. And also Jared Leto was acting like a fool on set. So I don't like it.
I also don't like how he was acting like a fool on set. That's a whole thing that we don't need to get into because
yeah.
Oh, what's up?
Especially for how little Joker's in this movie. Like all of that for
That's the
a
thing.
scene and a half.
That's the thing though. He's in this movie a lot. They just cut it all out.
Okay.
That's
So
the thing,
he was doing more for more, and then we saw, oh, you did all this for 7 minutes? This is what you was acting up for? Go sit down somewhere, Jared.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I actually don't feel like it's very similar to what they've done in the past. For me, I'm not a huge fan of what they did, but I do appreciate that they took it in a different direction, because the kind of street gangster with the goofy little tattoos and all that stuff is a different take on Joker. It's one we've seen in the comic books here or there, but as far as movies go, that was something that I hadn't seen. And I think that's part of the reason why it was received so badly, because comic book fans are very, very
picky.
They like what they know. They don't often like a change in their stuff. Like, this isn't my Joker. Oh my God, what are they doing?
That's fair. I feel like
it's what they were doing didn't really land. But he tried it. He had this weird little laugh. He had grape soda on ice for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. He said he had grape soda on ice. It was
Sure.
I'm just glad they didn't give that line to Killer Croc.
No, that would have been Kool-Aid.
No. Lord.
But yeah, that's another thing I would like to see, the full version of what this character was supposed to be, because we just got glimpses of something and it was just, yeah, it happened.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's how I feel. And then we didn't really see him in that other movie, in Birds of Prey, which I actually really liked. I think I liked Birds of Prey more than this, and I really liked this movie when it came out. I just was a little bit more critical of it this time around. I was like, oh, I don't remember this.
Colin, do you have any final thoughts on the Joker before we move on?
See, here's the thing. I don't like the Joker, period. Any version, I don't like him. So it's kind of an uphill battle. Fair. Also, there is the fact that Jared Leto kind of adds in trash and maybe has a cult. Why? There's a whole...
Yes, I heard.
But, like, I think what it is for me is, like, from what I understand, the Joker, the reason he's supposed to be so, like, iconic and scary and people like him is because, like, obviously he's crazy, but it's, like, in a way that is, like, terrifying. And to me, this Joker is, he's wacky. He might do stuff you don't expect, but none of it is, like, people's faces, like, contorted from laughing gas type of that. Like, he's just a guy. He'll shoot you, but anybody can shoot you. What makes him different? Like, I feel like there was nothing that really set him apart besides a lot of laughter.
Yeah, he's not just a violent gang leader with green hair.
Yeah.
And a weird voice. But yeah, that's enough time on Jared Leto, who may or may not have a cult. Visuals and sound. I love all of it. The character intros were my favorite part. All of the songs, the character shots, like Deadshot, they're listing all of the weapons that he can use, including, I think, a potato gun. And they have little fun facts. I love that they changed the style completely for each character.
Yeah.
When Harley shows up, we get Super Freak, and you get the little line that says she was an accomplice in the murder of Robin, which is something that if you don't, it's very quick. Like, I had to watch this movie several times to actually see it. But it's also little stuff like that. They really put detail into this movie. All that stuff was great. One of my favorite shots, as much as I don't feel like Enchantress is the right fit for this movie, I did like the visuals of her before she got all hips
when
don't
she was
lie.
still like dark and scary and not
she was
like
still
putting
dark
a
and
dress.
spooky. She looked super dope. The
Oh,
smoke.
she looked great.
And the
And-
transition.
Yo,
the
that
hand.
shot
The
with
hand
the hand
thing
coming
is
up
so
and
good.
flipping.
It's so good.
That's one thing that if you tell me David Ayer's vision for this movie had more of that, I'm down, because that was dark and that wasn't fun, but it looked amazing.
It was really
that
good.
was super dope. That's one of my favorite shots in the whole movie.
Same.
But yeah, Enchantress, and then she, for some reason, decides, now I want to be a white Shakira, and she just starts.
I mean, Shakira. Never mind.
I don't know what Shakira is.
She white.
I mean, I get
But
like
go on.
looking at her, she looks white, but I'm not gonna call anybody white when I'm not sure about it. Also, for some reason, Enchantress has a British accent, despite the fact that June does not. Like, you're possessing June's body. June is American. Enchantress speaks magic or whatever the hell language she speaks. I don't know where British comes from.
Well, I mean, they are different entities. So presumably Enchantress has her own voice.
But why would it be British?
Because she's British.
Why? Why was she?
To
She's
make a
not British.
distinction between.
Well, maybe she is.
I guess you could say that
Maybe
she
all
found-
magic is British.
Okay. Yes.
Or just to
I mean,
make
well, wait, what is Zatanna? Is she British? Because Constantine is.
Zatanna's not British.
Oh, damn. Okay.
No, not all magic is British.
I don't know. Maybe she manifests destiny. That shit. I don't know.
I don't know. It was a weird choice, but this isn't about her. I love that shot. Like I said earlier, I love distorted colors and sounds in Harley's memories. Like, she's on the ground and there's bright purples and greens. And then I love the way that the songs will warp in the background. The songs that are playing, and then we'll go into her flashback, and it's like Super Freak is kind of slowed down and chopped and screwed.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Harley in the Jester costume, but I'm also glad they didn't keep it the whole time, because the hat is a bit much.
Yeah.
It was just a nice nod to, hey, I seen that shot.
A little Easter egg, yeah.
Yeah, great Easter eggs. And as I said, the soundtrack is fire. One of my favorite movie soundtracks. Had a little bit of everything. I'm sorry, David Ayer. I know you didn't want those songs, but man.
He really didn't? Wow.
I don't know. He said he didn't have any radio songs in his movie. And I'm just, if you take those out, what is your movie? Because
I do
there's a
wanna
lot
know.
of those songs in this
Release
movie. They spent a
Ayer
lot
cut.
of
I'm
money.
just kidding.
I mean, there are people already doing that.
What? Oh, God. Of course they are.
Oh, yeah, that's been a big thing.
Comic book
Because
fans
once
are gonna-
Zack Snyder got it, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
well, what others
We
are on the
have
table? And it's
to.
like,
Comic book fans are going to hashtag studios to death.
Release the blah, blah, blah cut forever.
Release the blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Colin, what do you think of the visuals and the sounds?
I mean, I think while it doesn't, like, the intros kind of were, like, annoying to me, I think they work for what the movie is.
Mm.
Like, the movie was trying for something. And, like, the first half, I think it really does pack a lot in there and has some personality to it. And the second half just kind of gets more serious and less interesting.
Yeah.
It kind of does feel like two different movies.
It does.
Yeah. I want more of the first movie that this was.
Yes.
Which is funny, because I think most of my love for it is carried by the beginning of the movie. Because I remember watching it and thinking, this is great. This beginning, we get to see Deadshot. He's good at shooting, and he doesn't like to be threatened. He's not going to take no mess. And then, Killer Croc, he eats people. Harley's crazy. Boomerang's a scumbag. Diablo is Mexican.
Hey, he has a traumatic backstory.
I'm talking about the beginning. What do you get from the beginning besides the fact that he's Mexican?
Oh, yeah, you're right. He's real Mexican.
Like, it's just Slipping into Darkness is playing, which is a great song.
He real East LA.
Yes.
Not just Mexican, because like
He's
I'm Mexican.
He's a David Ayer character.
I'm not that. Oh yeah, Creeper.
But yeah, that's the thing, is those moments. There are moments in the latter half of this movie that carry it through that I enjoy. I enjoy Boomerang immediately grabbing his beer and dipping as soon as Rick Flag breaks the thing and he can leave. He takes both his beers and dips out, and then the way he just seamlessly comes back in for the hero walk. Like, all right, I finished my beer. Let's do this. Like,
that was great.
Yeah, there are some great little moments, and there's nothing in the movie that bothers me enough that I don't like it. Even the invisible hula hoop that Enchantress was playing with.
Oh God, that bothered me so much. But but I think because I'm like, why?
Why is that what you wanted? Why do that? Also, she just looked so much cooler before. You had a really cool character design.
Exactly.
And then you just digivolved her into a random woman in
Cara Delevingne in a dress, which is just not, it don't hit the same way.
It's not the same.
Right. It's like, oh, she looks cool, I guess, but not in comparison to
the
especially the first
creature before.
like the intro scene for Enchantress. When June
In
is
the
in that
cave?
cave. Yes.
Mm-hmm,
And you just see the eyes in the dark and the
love that.
That's dope. Why did they? I don't know.
I think because they were like, no one's gonna like her because she looks so scary, and instead everyone's like, leave it as it was.
Right, she's an evil witch. She should be scary.
Yeah, she should be terrifying.
Also, speaking of Enchantress, I hate the fact that June can say Enchantress in her sleep and cause her to come out because that's just not fair.
No.
Like, I can't do anything to stop that. I'm asleep. But, that's her problem. And I guess Rick's problem, too. That's another thing that, and I guess in the extended version, you get more of their relationship.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, because it's just, he likes the witch.
Okay.
All right, moving on. But, Gabby, what are your thoughts on the visuals and or the sound?
I mean, I'm just gonna repeat things that you said.
Okay, got you.
So like, I feel like I really like the music in it. Obviously, the makeup was well done.
Academy Award-winning makeup.
Yep, Academy Award-winning hair and makeup. And that, I mean, I really don't have much to add. I'm not quite as passionate about this movie as I was when it first came out. I was like, this is fine.
That's one thing I want to address about this movie, as opposed, like, regarding when it first came out. I feel like this movie is a shining example of the way that we look at movie criticism now, because this movie came out and critics panned it. And I feel like after that happened, the discourse about this movie got a lot more negative.
And it was mean.
Yeah, and it was mean. And also, there are so many people on the internet who dedicate themselves to being as mean as possible to movies, and that's their whole brand. And it's like, yo, guys, stop being dicks for fun. And I get, sometimes it's funny. There are funny ways to criticize or pick at movies. As hypocritical as it sounds, I love CinemaSins. It's a very funny channel to me. But
they're not mean.
They are sometimes.
Oh,
but
really?
I feel like
no.
Their thing isn't really founded in being mean-spirited so much as kind of just making jokes. But then you get reviewers who are just like, oh yeah, let me tell you the reasons this movie sucks. Today I saw a YouTube video. I didn't watch it because I'm not insane. But it was a 2.5 hour YouTube video about why The Last Airbender is the worst movie ever. First of all,
why is
we
it
know that
than
movie's
the movie
bad.
itself?
But second, yes, the movie's not that long. I don't need you to tell me for 2.5 hours why this movie sucks. We've all had this conversation. And 1 million people watched that video.
It's also like, if you can't make your point succinctly, like, rewrite it until you can.
Right, but I'm not watching you for 2.5 hours tell me why this movie sucks. Even if I don't like the movie. It's just weird. It's weird that you put that much energy into that. But anyway, the reason I said that about this movie is because I remember watching this movie. And we came out with a friend of mine, who is very, very susceptible to the general idea of what movies should be and what movies are. And I love this person, but talking to him about movies is a little bit exhausting. And I remember watching this movie and we came out and he said this movie is 2/3 of a good movie because he liked everything up to Enchantress doing her little hula hoop dance at the end and that whole act 3. But then fast forward, give it some time, more negative reviews are coming out, and he has nothing nice to say about the movie ever again. And that's just an example because people are like, oh yeah, the Rotten Tomato score says this movie's bad. So yeah, this movie's bad. Let me find different ways to insult it. And it's like, everybody just relax. You don't have to. You can like whatever movies you like. And that was my my little soapbox for the day.
Nice. It was a good soapbox.
Thank you. But yeah, while I'm bigging up the movie, favorite aspects, Deadshot. It's Will Smith. Of course it's Will Smith. Will Smith is my favorite aspect of every movie he's in. And just all of the scenes. The intro scene where he's talking to Angelo on the phone and the Action Bronson song is playing. It's great. The scene where he's doing target practice is great. The scene where his daughter is there, his disloyal ass daughter who gets him locked up.
Hey. He raised her right, so she had a good perception of right and wrong, okay?
Yo.
That's what that was.
If I gotta shoot Batman to stay out of prison, you let me shoot Batman. Don't stand in front of my gun, because now he got his little bat cuffs out.
No, I feel like, you know what? It was just a really good example of what a good parent he is. You know, his daughter was like, no, daddy, you're doing the wrong thing. And he was like, oh, she's right.
Definitely. But also, Zoe, move. Because I'm going to prison. And you know what? I just made $2 million. But now I'm going to prison. Because you're standing in front of Batman.
It's all going to his defense. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's how
I would have stiff armed that kid and shot Batman in the face. But that's horrible. A great scene. I am terrible. That's why I shouldn't have kids. The scene where he does his hero moment where Flag is like, you're going to run away. You're going to run away. You're going to run away. And then he shoots all of the things by himself, which I thought was odd because They keep talking about how you can't shoot these things or fight them; it doesn't work, and then he just shot them.
Yeah, it was a cool moment though.
It was a great moment. I loved it. All his moments are great. When he's supposed to shoot Harley and he doesn't because he's a killer with a heart of gold, and the way he goes over to Viola is just like, I missed. That was great. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and these are all reasons why I'm depressed he's not going to be in the next one. Colin, what's your favorite thing?
Yeah.
Is it Will Smith?
Okay, see, I'm not sure.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I think, okay, here's what I will say. For things that were in the movie, yes, Will Smith is my favorite.
okay.
But the potential of Enchantress, I think, is my favorite thing that could have been.
Interesting.
Because she's such a cool concept. And the first half of that movie, when it's just like, wow, this lady's life kind of sucks because she has to deal with this shit.
Yeah.
But then, like, also you can kind of control Enchantress and make her do certain like that. That's really, really cool. And then the second half happens, and it's like, oh, never mind.
Right. Now she's just a weird British woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose hips don't lie.
They do not.
Gabby, what's your favorite thing about the movie?
Diablo was my favorite.
That makes sense.
Because he was the only one with real superpowers. Like, he was like a god stuck in like a really cool body, like just stuck in this normal dude's body. He was terrifying and amazing. I was really upset that he died because, spoiler, by the way. I mean, we're in a
it's
throwback. It doesn't matter. It was really bummed that he died because I was like, he was so cool. How are you going to do us like that?
Yeah, I didn't care for that. That wasn't great.
And he had a really cool superpower and everything. He was basically a firebender. And I love him. So he was my favorite part. But my least favorite part was when he died because that was some bullshit and we deserved better. # justice for Diablo.
I feel it. Let's get that started. Also, I love the fact that in that same moment, they kill that white man and no one cares.
Oh, Scott Eastwood? Yeah,
he
no one
blows
cared.
up too and no one said a thing about it.
Literally, everyone was like, whatever, face the soldier.
Like, I know that was the plan.
Did we even know his name?
They called him GQ.
Yeah,
that's not a name.
No one knew his name.
No, I mean, Rick probably knows his name.
Yeah,
but
who
also,
cares about Rick?
They didn't even discuss the fact that, oh, yeah, you're going to die in this mission. Do you have, like, kids or something? Should I talk to your family?
Well, it's like, it's weird, right? Because they kind of explain that to the team. I don't know that they explain that to the soldiers. But,
Yeah,
like, the possibility, I mean, I guess the possibility of death is there on every mission, but...
Yeah, I'm like, it's built in to being a soldier, question mark?
As the better Joker would say, it's all a part of the plan. Speaking of things that look better, the next installment. What are we expecting? I'm expecting a whole lot of silliness and death, but in a good way.
Yeah, I'm expecting, like, a lot of Guardians energy, because it is James Gunn.
Yes, I feel like Guardians energy, but without the Disney filter. Because Guardians isn't super Disney, but it's enough that they wouldn't get away with the stuff that James Gunn is probably going to do in this movie.
I know, and I'm so excited to see what he could do. Like, what Guardians could be if he was allowed, like, to just do whatever he wanted.
Colin, expectations.
I mean, you pretty much said it, right? Like, I feel like James Gunn seems to me like the kind of dude who enjoys being edgy, and this is a great chance for him to do that.
Feel it.
So that's what he gonna do.
James gonna James.
Yeah, like that's kind of his brand.
He also knows how to go. Like, we already know he's really strong at putting together a good team movie. Like, he's done it multiple times, including when he wrote Scooby-Doo. So I feel like
interesting example.
I mean, but it's true. Like, I didn't want to mention Guardians again, but like, he did a team movie with Scooby-Doo already. I mean, he wrote it, he didn't direct it, but like, he's clearly like good at this.
I feel like Scooby. Okay, I feel like Scooby-Doo is the easiest version of a team movie. These are character archetypes that have existed since like the 60s, and it's just you have a stoner and his dog.
I mean, it could have flopped though, and it didn't flop.
It could have flopped. It was a weird movie,
but it was great.
Like, it makes sense that he wrote that movie. Super weird. Also, I didn't like the way they did Scrappy, but that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah,
I had to do my boy like that. Anyway, that's Suicide Squad.
See,
I loved it, and I'm probably on my own in the world. Nah, there are other people. I don't know where they are, but there are other people who love this movie.
I definitely loved it when it first came out.
Yes.
But to be honest,
oh my lord,
there are people who love it.
We have a guest,
but
she gonna be disappointed. We were wrapping up.
But Colin, keep talking while we wait for her to pop up.
I was saying, like, there are probably people who love it, but it's probably what you said, where once the criticism came out and people were like, this movie is trash, then the people who loved it were like, all right, I'm just going to sit in my corner and love this movie and not talk to people about it because then they'll get mad at me.
What's up, guys?
Demi!
Hi!
Hello.
So to me,
up?
we're about to do the outro,
That's
and
hilarious.
the timing is impeccable. I'm happy to see you, but man, this
Why
was
is there a
gonna
butt there?
this is gonna be the one time I had a fake Twitter name for Demi. But she saved
Oh,
I
herself
know
at the
it's
last
gonna
minute.
be really great. Oh,
You're gonna have to
I
tell
want
us
to know
what
it
it was.
afterward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys
No,
later.
you
But
can
Demi,
still
that's
say it
impeccable
though.
timing.
I'll let you say it though. But
I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
figured I kind of figured I
And
was
then we
gonna
can
jump
see your
in.
reaction.
Yes, but
I mean, I'm gonna keep this in. It's a nice little surprise. Hi guys,
yeah, it's a lovely surprise. We're all very
coming
happy
in
to see
from
you.
Washington D.C.
I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, Demi's
Oh
repping for the East
wow.
Coast. Demi, do you want to do the outro, or do you want to just vibe out? We pretend you
Oh no,
didn't show
I'm
up.
just gonna vibe out. I just wanted to make sure that everything was running smoothly.
It looks like
It
it's
seems
running.
to be.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, if we send you the sound files and there's nothing there, then
And it
we'll
didn't
cross
run
that
Oh, I
bridge
mean,
when we
I-
come to it.
This would have been the first one without me. I almost went 134 episodes and then bam.
I'm
Not
glad
here.
we didn't break that streak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're our consistent element in the podcast.
Yeah. You were
That's
invaluable.
true. Go ahead and finish your outro, guys.
Yes. Well, before I start that, Colin, I do want to address that thing that you said, where people liked the movie and then heard the discourse and were like, "Oh, maybe I don't like this movie, or maybe I won't outwardly like this movie." And that's one thing I love about myself. Not to sound vain, but I am.
What a line.
Right? You know, not to. As Raphael Casal says in the song "Chopped," I don't want to toot my own horn, but blah, blah. That's not the exact line, but you know, it's a censored version. Yeah, I like movies that I like, and I don't let critics tell me I shouldn't like a movie. I mean, they can tell me whatever they want. I don't listen, because if I like the movie when I saw it, I'm not gonna stop liking it because I read some negative words about it. So you should all be like me. All right, outro time. Thank you,
You should
audience.
see everyone's faces just glaring at us right now. We're like, are you done?
I mean, you know, don't be like me in general, because I got some issues. But
I'm curious as to how y'all got to that conversation.
yeah,
You about to hear it.
but
You're
Yeah,
right. I
you
am
know.
gonna hear it.
I'll turn that into a positive. Be like me in that you don't let people shame you for what you like. Like what you like and be proud of it. And, you know, don't let
Well,
other people make you. I mean, what, Colin? Are you going to bring up
I
some
just
weird
feel like-
example of something you shouldn't be proud of?
I'm not going to say anything, but I feel like, yes, there are some examples of things you shouldn't like.
Like the movies that you like. And don't let. Colin.
Oh, damn it, she's here. Demi, her tastes, the things that we talk. Anyway, you know.
Y'all, we
I
need
have
to
spent
close
my
Stop it,
entire
Colin.
life
up.
listening to
I'm just
people
saying,
talk
like-
crap about the things that I like. I don't need you to do that as well.
Fair.
Like we said, like what you like, unless it's, you know, bad.
I feel like rightfully so.
But not like critically bad, like morally or like legally bad.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
meant.
Yeah, you know. If you're a big fan of like Kevin Spacey as a person, don't like what you like.
Oof.
Stop liking what you like.
Yeah, hard no. Hard no.
Yeah. If you just like movies that aren't critically acclaimed, that's fine. You do what you do. Thank you for listening to all of that, even the chaotic ending. Thank you, as always, to Crown Digital, Brandon, and I for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you to me for editing and putting us on YouTube and, you know, surprising us with your presence here at the end. We love to see you.
Wah, wah.
Wish I could have given my opinion, but it's all right.
We also wish that.
I mean,
Put
you
this
could
up.
give like a, you know, one sentence how you feel about this movie.
Sure, you want to do that?
I think it's a lot of fun. I like it. Yeah, you'll probably hear more of my thoughts probably when we actually review The Suicide Squad.
Makes sense.
But you know, I like it. It has some story
Yes.
problems, but I like it.
Gabby, thank you for repping for the Diablo fandom. Colin, thank you for vibing with me on the Will Smith fan train.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to thank you for randomly insulting to me. We didn't need that. But
I thought you were about to thank yourself or something. I was like, Dallas, please.
I'm not going to go that far. Me, thank you. I'm just kidding.
Oh, stop it.
Anyway, let us know, audience, what you think of the Suicide Squad. Are you looking forward to the next one? Are you wondering what we're referring to when we say things that Demi is into? We're not going to tell you. She's not going to let us. But anyway, hit us up in the comments or hit us up on Instagram.
She's not
and
even going
Tumblr
to
at
allow it
Creative
into the
Differences.
podcast.
That's fair.
It's true.
That is her right.
That is her right. Hit us up on Instagram and Tumblr at Creative Differences Podcast, Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC. If you actually like the 2016 Suicide Squad, hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at A King Named Simba, and we can have a support group. I will let you know you're not alone. I know you're out there.
If you want to talk to me, Gabby, you can find me on the Instagrams at Stegosoria.
You can find me on Twitter at DuckMcDuck.
Demi, do you want to give your actual thing?
I wasn't in this episode, so I feel like I shouldn't actually give my social media. But you guys can find
Dallas,
me
do the thing.
on Twitter.
Do the thing.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy spelled Dreemi, and you guys can talk to me about Harley Quinn. Dallas, what was the fake name you were going to give me?
Yes, if you want to find Demi's burner account, you can find her on Twitter at Margot Stotty.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
I'm gonna leave that in there.
I figured you could appreciate it.
It's her Finsta.
Yes.
That one's got to stay. Yeah. I do rep for Margot Robbie pretty hard.
Exactly. But yeah, it's been different. Bye.
Bye.